The Night Watchman, winner of the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction, is Louise Erdrich's 17th novel. In September of 1953, Thomas Washisch works the night shift as a watchman at the Turtle Mountain jewel-bearing plant. In the solitude of his duties, he finds solace in writing letters. He pens personal letters to his children and takes on a more official role as chairman of the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa, corresponding with government officials and reporters. During these late nights, Thomas is often visited by the ghost of Roderick, a former classmate from their boarding school days. It is during this time that Thomas becomes aware of House Concurrent Resolution 108, also known as the Termination Bill, introduced by Senator Arthur V. Watkins. This bill seeks to invalidate the treaties established between Native American tribes and the United States government. Its implementation would force the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa to relocate and result in the cessation of all government services, including the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Determined to counter this threat, Thomas joins forces with other members of the tribe's advisory committee. Their plan involves rallying support against the bill within the reservation by collecting signatures and organizing a coalition to testify before Congress in Washington, D.C. The tribe's future hangs in the balance as they fight to protect their rights and maintain their ancestral lands. Meanwhile, Patrice Pixie Parenteau toils alongside Thomas at the jewel-bearing plant, manufacturing the bearings used in watches and Department of Defense weapons. Amidst her work, Patrice grapples with the recent disappearance of her sister, Vera, who had moved to Minneapolis. At home, Patrice's father's battle with alcoholism subjects the family to his drunken outbursts, causing turmoil and fear for Patrice, her mother, Jeannette, and her brother, Pokey. Pokey, seeking an escape, takes up boxing lessons with Lloyd Barnes, a fellow worker at the plant, who harbors unrequited feelings for Patrice. Lloyd frequently visits the Parenteau household in the hopes of finding an opportunity to engage with Patrice and express his affections. After the Parenteau family holds a ceremony in their quest to find Vera, Jeannette's cousin Gerald, a Geosa, delivers hopeful news that Vera is still alive. Determined to locate her sister, Patrice embarks on a journey to Minneapolis. During her train ride, she unexpectedly encounters Wood Mountain, a fellow boxer who trains with Lloyd Barnes. Wood Mountain informs Patrice that if she wants to find Vera, she should search for the scum. Upon arriving in Minneapolis, upon reaching her destination, an unmarked taxi stops for Patrice. Despite her suspicions, she enters the vehicle, only to be taken to a bar called Log Jam 26, instead of her intended address. Patrice is accosted by the driver and another man, but their assault is interrupted by Jack Malloy, who comes to her rescue. Jack offers to assist Patrice and takes her to the locations associated with Vera's addresses. At the first address, a haunting whimper from a dog behind the door sends shivers down Patrice's spine. The second location leaves Jack visibly shaken. Finally, at the third place, Patrice encounters Bernadette Blue, Wood Mountain's half-sister. Bernadette claims not to know Vera's whereabouts, but reveals that she is caring for Vera's baby. Patrice agrees to return later, leaving the infant in Bernadette's care. Jack accompanies Patrice back to Log Jam 26, where he offers her a place to stay in the dressing room if she agrees to perform as the Waterjack for $50 per night. With limited options and enticed by the money, Patrice reluctantly agrees. As Patrice becomes immersed in her role as the Waterjack, she gradually discovers the poisonous nature of the costume she wears. The previous Waterjack performer has died, and the current one is in a dire state. Meanwhile, Wood Mountain's planned fight in Fargo gets cancelled, prompting him to head to Minneapolis to ensure Patrice's safety. Upon visiting Bernadette Blue's residence, Wood Mountain learns of Patrice's association with Jack Malloy. Worried about her well-being, he makes his way to Log Jam 26, where he witnesses Patrice performing as the Waterjack. Concerned for Patrice's safety, Wood Mountain leaves a note for her, urging her to leave that night, and informing her of his presence in the adjacent hotel. In the middle of the night, Patrice flees the dressing room and encounters Jack in the midst of an overdose in the hallway. Disturbed by the scene, she seeks refuge with Wood Mountain in his hotel room. The following morning, they visit Bernadette Blue's house to retrieve Vera's baby before returning home. In the aftermath of their personal struggles, the Turtle Mountain Advisory Committee organizes a meeting in Fargo to raise awareness about the termination bill. The gathering concludes with a vote, with 0 individuals in favor of the bill and 47 people opposing it. Recognizing the need for funding to support a delegation's trip to Washington, D.C., Thomas approaches Lloyd Barnes with an idea. He proposes a boxing match between Wood Mountain and Joe Wobble Woblesinski as a fundraising event. After reaching an agreement, the intense and punishing fight ensues, leaving both fighters exhausted. It marks the final boxing match for both Wood Mountain and Joe Wobble. Upon their return, Wood Mountain assumes a paternal role towards Vera's baby. Patrice, however, tries to distance herself by referring to the baby as Guiouizens, or little boy, to avoid growing too attached. Nevertheless, Wood Mountain bestows upon the baby the temporary name of Archil, honoring his father. As Patrice and Wood Mountain embark on a romantic relationship, Patrice can't shake the feeling that something is amiss. Both Patrice and her mother begin experiencing haunting dreams in which they see Vera alive but struggling, adding to their sense of unease. During a hunting expedition in the woods, Patrice and Pokey stumble upon an old cabin on their property. Peering through the window, they discover their father's lifeless body slumped in the bed, marking a somber and unexpected turn of events. Following her harrowing ordeal, Vera finds herself kidnapped and forced into a life of sexual exploitation aboard a ship. Her addiction to drugs worsens, and she endures a brutal withdrawal period. Eventually, the sailors abandon her, leaving her battered and discarded in a dark alley. It is there that she is discovered by Harry Roy, a retired Army medic, who takes her under his care and nurses her back to health. Grateful for his compassion, Harry brings Vera back to the Parento house, reuniting her with her family and her beloved son. In the midst of these events, a romantic relationship blossoms between Vera and Wood Mountain. Patrice, sensing the genuine connection between them, realizes that this union is right and preferable to a relationship between her and Wood Mountain. Buoyed by the success of their fundraising efforts, Thomas organizes a delegation to travel to Washington, D.C. to testify against the bill. The testimonies passionately argue against immediate termination, while Arthur Watkins vehemently advocates for it. Thomas, despite his personal disdain for Watkins, uses flattery and every available means to try to sway him against the plan. However, on the journey back home, Thomas suffers a stroke. Although he eventually recovers, he returns to his work at the jewel-bearing plant. In a poignant closing note, Erdrich celebrates the triumph of the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa, who successfully stood up against termination, ensuring their continued existence and resilience.